Hi, Nagashwin, Shruti, Hassan, Sanjit Hegde. My name is Sudhir Srinivasan and I run entertainment for the New Indian Express. It's a pleasure to be able to discuss your short film called X Life for the Netflix anthology Pitaka. Now, my first question is to you. Surely you're a fan of Black Mirror, right?
I am, yeah, I
How
am.
much of that series influenced your decision to make something like this?
I mean, I definitely love Black Mirror. I actually discovered it very relatively recently, but uh, but this idea of putting on something and going into an alternate world is something I've had for a while. Like even one of my first scripts I wrote, which I never made yet, was something of this sort. Though it wasn't technology and all this, but it was still artificial reality. So that idea has always been carrying forward, and then when I got a chance to make this anthology, and I was just trying to figure out what, because we had a very vague sort of a brief, which was something to do with power and love, and so for a while we were trying to call this Power Stories or something. So we were. So I was just trying to understand that, and that's how this came together. And definitely, I love Black Mirror, and even if it
So that
reminded
explains
me,
those dialogues about power in the
yeah,
film.
they are. They are a couple of dialogues about power in the film.
And I have to confess, being blown away by the visual excellence of this film. Our films have, generally suffered when it comes to executing such scripts, but not a single minute of this film left me making excuses for it. So, do tell me about the conversations you had to make it all seem so organic, about the dystopian sets and all the CG work to communicate a sense of, the digital world.
Uh, Thank you, first of all, because it was very hard in the constraints of time and budget, because essentially this was a 30-minute short film which didn't allow itself for such a big canvas, to be honest. But we just pulled it off. Everybody believed in it, and it had, like, for 30 minutes it had around 300 VFX shots. So we just had to, and a lot of the companies, even the VFX company, everybody did it for the love of the film and for me, I guess, and I'm very thankful to everyone.
It's fair to say I enjoyed almost everything about this film. Sanjit, I totally bought you as this greedy tech guy who can't see the negative consequences of his invention. Um, Tell me about how you came to participate in this project, and well, I won't give you names, but who did you try to model yourself on?
Who do you think I try to model myself on, though?
I have no idea, man.
But yeah, no. I think,
I'm just kidding, but yeah.
no, uh, I met Nag at Filmfare in 2019. And
Okay.
yeah, we started talking, and I told him I'd love to work with him. And a week later, he called me. And when he called, I thought he's calling, to talk something about music, because I've done that all my life. And he was like, "Yo, there's a script. I'd love for you to be a part of it. Read it." And my immediate reaction was, "Dude, Nag, I don't know how to act, man." so, so yeah, that's how it happened. And I really loved the script. Obviously, it was damn cool. And there was always doubt if I could pull it off. I still have a doubt, but yeah, I think that's how it happened.
Listening to you talking now, I wonder if you channeled a lot of yourself into this role.
Yes.
Shruti, is this among the most unusual films that you've been part of?
Yes, definitely, because it's a synergy of very many things coming together in an exciting way. So it really stands apart in that sense. First of all, on the, on being on a platform like Netflix. So first, when I got the discussion, it was like Nagi and Netflix. I was like, that's good, and so that of the reach it has, and knowing that people will watch it, knowing that I'm a consumer of the platform, and what kind of impact it has. I've always liked Nagi's work, and I was really excited to work with him. And as actors, we're always like, we're hungry for directors, because we're on a diet the rest of the time. So that's the only thing we can be hungry for. So we're hungry for good directors. And but as I've worked for 11 years now, it's not the good director box that, like, it needs to be ticked, because those people may not have the same feeling of camaraderie towards artistry, or vision of how they see you or you see yourself. And there can be a lot of things lost in translation. So I think for me, this was really interesting because it's an out there concept, but it's not that out there. It's actually the only concept of film that I've been a part of which I have related to the most in terms of its context. And then to meet someone like Nagi, who's very much the same generation and interests and approach to work. So in that sense, it really stands apart from the rest of my experiences. And then of course, Sanjit the Great, who it was just so amazing working with him on set and his energy. And yeah, I mean, it really does stand apart for me from the rest of my projects.
And there's a sense of dystopia and a sense of the future, even when it comes to the costumes that some of you guys wear in this film. Right?
You know, that's really, it's strange that you pointed it out, because when I was thinking about it in the beginning, I was like, gosh, there's only two ways to go, like Gattaca or like, you know, like out there. Oh, I'm going to be wearing like vinyl and latex. So I started like imagining this. But he really went the Japanese way, you know, which is in the future, we will probably return to. So we were wearing cottons and raw fabrics and material, like organic fabrics. And that is kind of, if you see, even in modern times, we're starting to get this whole, with all of this data and technology and all of this on the side, you're also getting electric cars and people becoming vegan and, you know, that. And I think he really captured that balance visually. We didn't come show, you know, in a shiny silver spacesuit or something.
Right,
Right. Absolutely. Now, perhaps my most favorite shot comes at the end of that scene in which Shruti and Sanjit are on the terrace. You know, the camera moves to the flow and there's water and you get almost an ominous but beautiful reflection of them both and the company's name as well. Do you guys design such moments well in advance, or do you wing it when
totally wing it? Like, you know, we were doing a rehearsal and there was some water on the roof, and I was like, hey dude, we need this reflection. That's pretty much it. And I mean, when you watch it later in the edit, I see like so many things which I was like, maybe people will think I put these things there on purpose. Like, for example, in the beginning, when the first time Vic meets Divya, Vic is higher and Divya is lower, and then you see this flip with the reflection, and then in the last scene, Divya is higher and Vic is lower. So I'm like, this is well planned. I wonder who planned it. So yeah.
You know, while the story is, you know, ostensibly about a futuristic world, there are obviously echoes of what's going on around us today, about data theft, about, you know, its power to manipulate our behavior. Shruti, Sanjit, I want to ask you guys, did being part of this film make you wary about your usage of mobile phones, maybe?
Kind of, yeah, for sure. I've been trying to like cut off, you know, the phone, like using my phone or letting Instagram and whatever, YouTube and whatever influence the way I think and I behave. So after this movie, I did take a break and cut myself off. I don't think it was a very conscious decision because of the movie, but it did trigger something in me which made me do that.
I think for me, I've had a fairly healthy understanding of the threats that technology poses, and I've always understood it. I also come from a home where I've seen, like, my dad was always bringing technology into cinema before other people, and for me, technology always seemed like a cool tool first. Like, I can use this to my advantage first.
Right.
Same when social media came out, I was like one of the first few geeks on MySpace and then Twitter, like when nobody else was there. It was a very lonely world and quiet world, you know. And I've always understood the power of technology and communication through technology. Having said that, I also understand, especially what it means if, you know, people could look at my personal information, or, you know, actually not that much. Turns out I pretty much say everything I feel, but, you know, in the sense that, yes, we do understand this, but what people don't realize is with this awareness and people are getting hacked and this is happening and cryptocurrency and all these discussions, people are starting to shine a spotlight on it. But I don't think people realize how much of our information people have always had. You know, like, for example, social security is a way of like monitoring your population and what their choices are and where you go and get your driver's license, and we've always been a part of that system. Now you just have, a different way of doing it. So if you're talking about technology becoming the new Uncle Sam, it's just a replacement of it, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
Now, could you maybe tell me about the choice to opt for a lot of English in this film? The Telugu dialogues are almost seem like flavoring in the film.
I thought about trying to make it majority Telugu, but a lot of the circumstance seemed like, like there's an African general, like he has to speak in English, and this dude runs probably one of the biggest companies in the world, so he's probably going to be speaking in English most of the time. So I just felt that the leeway that we probably don't have in a regular theatrical movie, because you want to appeal to a very specific audience, I thought maybe I can take that leeway here, because it's natural language. Like when we're speaking now, I'll speak a little in Telugu, I'll speak a little in English. Like I just thought, let's keep it natural.
Right. This brings me to another conversation point. I mean, I was talking to Nandini earlier, and she was talking about the difficulty of figuring out the target audience for material like this. Do you try and appeal to Telugu people who and get them access to this whole world of Netflix content out there, or do you appeal to the audience out there in the world? What did you make of this?
I think OTT is cool because you just make it and you put it out there, and like who watches it on that week or 2 weeks after the release watch it, but then there could be somebody who watches it a year or two later and it could have the most profound impact on their lives. So you don't know, you just do your work and you put it out there. Maybe the guy who will be like, "Bye, I won't watch this, what is this right now?" But in 2023 he'll watch it and be like, "Damn, like when was this made?" Like who knows, like so that's
he
like
finished every episode of Queen's
Yeah,
Gambit and then watched us.
right. Yeah.
Right. Can I, while you're speaking, can I also ask you to touch upon the rather impressive score for this film? Because I thought it really helped cement this sense of futuristic vision, that was going on in this film.
Thanks. I mean, I still haven't. I'm so nervous about how I've done the score, because that's the first
It's
time.
good, basically, is what everyone
Thanks,
is
Shruti.
saying.
Yeah. So there's my friend Surya Praveen and I did this, and yeah, we were just, Nagi gave us complete freedom. It was just him. He basically told us, do whatever you want, just make it feel right. And he was like, just make it feel right. And he never said no, like straight up saying, no, this doesn't work or anything like that. He was like, this is okay, just make it feel right. And that's all we went for. There's a song in the movie which just when he told me, like kind of score he wanted, it was more of a 80s retro, like you were going for like a synth
sort of
like
zone,
So a Blade Runner thing, that was what was going on in our heads. But then slowly it moved to like all over the place, and I think it was all over. We were putting synths and guitars and alaps and all that. We were doing whatever felt right, I think, and if that works, awesome.
As my penultimate question, the film throws an optimistic end. With people getting yanked out of their experience, they suddenly seem to realize the value of the real world. Well, Nag, is that the optimist in you? Because a more cynical person would likely believe that these people, like addicts without drugs, would get all nervous and furious about the experience being taken away from them.
That would be the more realistic way to do it if it was a more 2-hour film. But I thought
how people panicked at the beginning of the pandemic and quarantining.
Correct. So I think by default, like what you said, that if it was a longer film, I would use this point as maybe maybe the intermission, maybe, and then like how a world without this is going to readjust would be the second half of the film.
Let's make it.
That would be an interesting way to go about it. But because it's this and it needs to feel complete, and it needs to sort of, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't always have to give hope, but it's nice to give hope.
I also have to ask you this while we're talking about the end. I mean, there is a twist that happens towards the end of the story, and I noticed that in one of some of the other stories also there's a twist at the end. What is it about the short film medium that you suppose lends itself to these twists at the end?
I think it's definitely an easier way to write your third act. If you have a twist.
You also have more attention span of the viewer.
Yeah, because it really gives you a feeling that you've been on a journey, and in your third, because otherwise in such a short time you really need to. I don't know. It depends really, but it really is a shortcut in a way to write an effective third act or whatever. To have a twist.
So that's probably why we see a lot of that happening in this. I mean, even with respect to the couple of Tamil anthologies that have come on Netflix, I see this being a universal pattern across these.
Correct, because if you don't do it and you want to go linear and you want to write it, it requires a different approach from the very beginning, and it's probably harder.
As my final question, there is this device in this film, a small button of sorts. It reminded me of the Bogart in the Harry Potter world, which makes people experience their worst fears.
Yeah.
I'm a Lord of the Ringer, so I
Even
don't know
I'm
Harry
not.
Potter references. Sorry, you lost me.
Hey, Lord of the Rings.
That's fine.
Lord of the Rings is almost like him putting on the ring, and he sees his worst fears.
Yeah.
So it's like that.
Yeah, look at you, Frodo.
I love all fantasy.
So maybe as the final answer, each of you could tell me about what if that were on your forehead? What do you suppose you are likely to?
I do think I already experienced it some days.
I think it's already on my forehead. And this is me. With
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. For me, it's always like stuff related to shoot. Most of the time, it's like you shoot a whole day and you're happy, and then the card gets erased or something. It's that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's pretty boring, but those are the worst fears.
Yeah, I think as a woman, we do live out without the device the worst possible scenarios in many situations, including safety sometimes. It's not a worst fear that's very far away. And it's not that it eludes someone like me because of how my life and my protective layer appears. So I think women have a different set of worst fears. Like, he's worried about getting his card erased, and I'm like, I hope I don't die at the end of the street. So yeah.
Or like
Just to put things in perspective.
or slip off the building when there's rain.
Yeah, or slip off the building when there's rain. Yeah, no, I think.
How interesting, Shruti, that your answer should touch upon the themes of Nandini's film in this anthology.
Yes, as well. Yeah, because I think that wasn't there in this particular film, because what was interesting is ultimately it's not a twist to me, because while she's playing, I need help, I'm a damsel, I need help. This is the story of most women, let me tell you. We start out saying, can you help me? Can you? And then you're like, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to figure this system out in my own way. So in that sense, she's a metaphor for a journey that's very normal for most women.
Thank you so much, guys, for this conversation. I enjoyed the film. Thank you so much for
Thank
being
you.
with my
Thanks.
Glad you liked it.
Bye.
Thank you.
Why?